Hello students, now I will discuss a sonnet. The sonnet is written by Edmund Spenser. The name of the sonnet or the number of the sonnet is Amoretti 75. One day I wrote her name is the first line of the sonnet. Now we will discuss a few words about sonnet. The sonnet was first written in early 13th century, around 1230 in Sicily, Italy. Hello students, now I will discuss a sonnet written by Edmund Spenser. The name or number of the sonnet is Amoretti 75 and the first line of the poem of the sonnet is one day I wrote her name. Now I will say a few words about sonnet. The sonnet was first written in the early 13th century in Sicily, Italy. It was developed by Italian notary and poet Giacomo da Lentini at the court of Emperor Frederick II. The term comes from the Italian sonetto, little song or sound. Sonnet is typically 14 lines of iambic. Sonnet is typically 14 lines of iambic pentameter, 10 syllables per line with alternating stress. Petrarchan sonnet is divided into an octave and a sestet. Octave means a stanza of 8 lines and sestet means a stanza of 6 lines, and the rhyming structure is ABBA, ABBA, CD, 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 CD. The turn usually occurs between the octave and sestet. The form was brought to England in the 16th century by Sir Thomas Elyot and Henry Howard and Earl of Surrey. Shakespearean sonnet is composed of 3 quatrains, not like the Petrarch, and a final rhyming couplet rhyming couplet AB AB, CD CD, EF EF, GG. Hundreds of thousands of sonnets have been written throughout the history of English literature, making an exact total impossible to determine how many sonnets has been written. However, the most famous individual collection is William Shakespeare's canonical sequence of 154 sonnets. Edmund Spenser wrote 88 sonnets. Edmund Spenser wrote 89 sonnets in his Amoretti sequence. John Milton authored 24 sonnets, among them 18 in English and 6 in Italian. Sir Philip Sidney wrote 108 sonnets in Astrophila and Stella. Elizabeth Barrett Browning penned 44 sonnets in sonnets from the Portuguese. Now, Edmund Spenser was born in 1552 and died 13 January 1599. He was an English poet, best known for his Fairy Queen, an epic poem and fantastical allegory celebrating the Tudor dynasty and Elizabethan one. Edmund Spenser is most famous for his sonnet cycle titled Amoretti. It contains 89 sonnets in total. Amoretti, published in 1595, chronicles his courtship and eventual marriage to Elizabeth Boyle. The poem One Day I Wrote Her Name Upon the Stand, it is the first line of the sonnet, is sonnet number 75 or 75th sonnet of the sonnet series of 89 sonnets or from this sequence. Spenser is credited with creating his own specific variation of sonnet structure. His sonnet structures is different. Unlike Shakespearean or Petrarchan form, the Spenserian sonnet use a unique interlocking rhyming scheme: AB AB, BC BC, CD CD, EE. But all sonnets are of 14 lines. Other works. While he wrote other major poetic works like the Fairy Queen, an epic poem, and Epithalamion, a wedding song, his contribution to the sonnet form is almost entirely contained within the 18 poems of Amoretti series. The famous sonnet is Amoretti 75 by Edmund Spenser. It is a beautiful dialogue. It is a beautiful dialogue between a lover trying to immortalize his beloved and a lady who reminds him of the human mortality. Now I will discuss it I will give the Bengali meaning of the sonnet. One day I wrote her name upon the strand. একদা আমি সমুদ্র সৈকতে বালুর ওপর তার নাম লিখেছিলাম। But came the waves and washed it away. কিন্তু ঢেউ এলো এবং তা ধুয়ে নিয়ে চলে গেল। Again I wrote it with a second hand. আমি আবারও দ্বিতীয়বার সেই নাম লিখেছিলাম বা লিখলাম। But came the tide and made my pensive spray. কিন্তু জোয়ার এলো আমার পরিশ্রমকে তার শিকারে পরিণত করলো, আবার মুছে দিয়ে চলে গেল। Vain man, said she, that dust in vain essay. হে বৃথাচারী মানুষ, সে বলল, সে মানে তার লেডি লাভ প্রেয়সী, তুমি বৃথাই চেষ্টা করছো। ডাস্ট archaic form, does, it means does, it is used in the sonnet. A mortal thing so too immortalized. The মরণশীল বস্তুকে এভাবে অমর করে রাখতে পারবে? For I myself shall like to this decay. কেননা আমি নিজেও একদিন এই নামের মতো ক্ষয় হয়ে যাব। And my name be wiped out likewise. এবং একইভাবে আমার নামও একদিন মুছে যাবে। এখানেও একটা archaic words ব্যবহার করা আছে। Not so could I let baser things devise. তা হবে না, আমি বললাম, আমি মানে কবি বলছেন তুচ্ছ বা সাধারণ জিনিসগুলোকেই। To die in the dust, but you shall live by fame. ধুলোয় মিশে মরতে দাও, কিন্তু তুমি বেঁচে থাকবে তোমার সুনামে, তোমার খ্যাতিতে। My verse, our ventures, rare shall eternize. আমার কবিতা তোমার এই বিরল গুণাবলীকে বাঁচিয়ে রাখবে, চিরস্থায়ী করবে, অমর করবে। And in the heavens write your glorious name. এবং স্বর্গের পাতায় লিখে রাখবে তোমার মহিমান্বিত নাম, তোমার গৌরবান্বিত নাম। Where when as death shall all the world subdue. যেখানে মৃত্যু যখন সমস্ত পৃথিবীকে জয় করে নেবে এবং স্তব্ধ করে দেবে, our love shall live. আমাদের ভালোবাসা বেঁচে থাকবে। Let our life renew. এবং পরবর্তী জীবনে নতুন করে প্রাণ পাবে। What I said earlier, that it is a dialogue between two persons. One is trying to immortalize the love and other is saying the truth of life. Other means the lady love is saying the truth of life, but poet is trying to try to immortalize his life, and he is saying of the way how to immortalize his love. One day I wrote her name upon the strand is a Spenserian sonnet. The Spenserian sonnet is broken up into 4 parts, with a couplet acting as an answer to the poem, with a rhyming pattern of AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. The poem speaks of an endeavor to immortalize the woman he loves by writing her name in the sand. The sonnet seems to be about the author's attempt to immortalize his wife of love or his lady love. Spenser starts the poem with a quatrain recalling an incident that could have happened any summer day at the seaside. He writes his lover's name, his lady love's name on the sand at the beach, but the ocean's wave wipe it away, just as the time will destroy all man-made things. All things are born to decay, are made to destroy. So the name of the lady love must be washed away by the time. The next quatrain describes the woman's reaction to man's charming attempt to immortalize her. She enjoys it, but she reminds him of the truth. She claims that a man's attempts were in vain, ব্যর্থ হয়ে যাবে, and that no mortal beings can be immortalized due to cruelness of the time. The next quatrain represents a turning point in the poem, and the author reveals that his life will be eternally remembered in the poems, that is verse. She will be immortalized in this sonnet, by this sonnet, for this sonnet. The final couplet at the end, where when as death shall all the world subdue, out love shall live and latter life renew, summarizes the theme of the poem by comparing the eternal quality of love and death to the brevity of the life and humanity. Life may be short, but it must be immortalized, it should be immortalized, and it will be immortalized through this verse. During the Elizabethan age, love sonnets are traditionally told the story of men in love with unattainable woman. However, Spenser's sonnet from his sonnet sequence, Amoretti, disobey the general pessimism and give an optimistic look at the love. In fact, the sonnet 75 shows such optimism that his persona, after a realization in the poem, claims that his love will be immortalized through verse. Sonnet 75 is a successful sonnet because it presents an optimistic view on love through the optimistic view to love and realistic story. He immortalizes his love through this verb, through this sonnet. Spenser takes the success of the work and step further because he uses form, rhymes, personification and alliteration to mirror the imagery and the story of his sonnet and the story of his immortalization. Spenser used a very harmonious rhythm and iambic pentameter to compose a pleasing poetry so as to immortalize his beloved, to immortalize his ladylove, to immortalize his wife. This sonnet discusses about the transitory world and the way to make the love undying, to make the life immortal. Spenser is successful at bringing two contradictory forms of poetry in the same place with magnificent harmony. The poem is lyrical and dramatic at the same time. A beautiful lyric is maintained in the poem, and the dramatic situation is created by the dialogue between the speaker and his beloved. Actually, sonnet number 75 or the sonnets are named by their number, but their first line are often treated as the title. The title one day I wrote her name upon the strand, or simply the sonnet 75 by Edmund Spenser is justified because the line establishes the setting of the poem, the setting of the action and the thematic tension between morality and immortality in a single line. The single line tells many things which we go through later in the sonnet. The title describes, or the first line describes, the exact action of the poet who is trying to physically write his beloved's one's name in the sand, on the beach, sets up the metaphor of the time, and the use of I and her makes the poem a personal, intimate memory of the speaker's courtship with his beloved Elizabeth Boyle rather than an abstract concept. The first line focuses on the failed physical action, written in sand, but it is later contrasted by the success of the spiritual action by the writing these lines. It justifies the poem. It justifies the poem's conclusion that love will be immortal through the verse, through this sonnet, through his poem, through his lines. Edmund Spenser used several metaphors, extended metaphor and symbolism. The poem revolves around the metaphor of writing in the sand to represent the ephemeral human life and fleeting time, contrasted with the sea and representing morality. And this is also a beautiful symbol. We see personification. The waves and the tides are personified as active agents that wash away and destroys the speaker's efforts to oppose the lover's immortality. This is a beautiful example of personification. There also are alliterations. Spenser used repetition of consonant sounds for musically, such as pain, spray, line 4, verse and virtues in line 11, and W sounds in wave and washed in line 2. These are the examples of alliteration. Structure and rhyme scheme. The poem is Spenserian sonnet which creates a tighter interlocking rhyme scheme that links the three quatrains and final couplets together, enhancing the argument's continuity. Dialogue. The use of direct dialogue between the speaker and his beloved highlights the conflict between the realistic view of morality and the idealistic poetic belief in the eternal love. Here are use of hyperbole. The speaker uses exaggeration in the final couplet, proclaiming that his verse will make that their love eternal and surpass death. It is an hyperbole. It is an exaggeration about his love. And in the poem, there is use of iambic pentameter. The poem is written in iambic pentameter. 5 sets of unstressed and stressed syllables, giving it a steady rhythmic and musical quality. We find enjambment. Lines are often cut off before a natural stopping point to encourage the readers to move to the next line without a pause, creating a flowing effect such as between the lines 9 and 10. We find it in lines 9 and 10. Now, if we go through the theme, the poem contrasts the temporary nature of life with the eternal bestowed by poetry. The speaker claims that writing his lover's name in the poem ensures the love defies death and time. He will conquer death and time. The beloved argues that death is inevitable, while the speaker asserts that their love will live on for this poetry, though death is inevitable. Though the body may perish, the memory and virtues of love are preserved forever through artistic expression. This sonnet will immortalize their love. The cruelness of time will be defeated. Their love will be triumphant through this verse. Edmund Spenser's sonnet, Amoretti 75, gives the overall tone of romance, determination, and ultimately an ultimate triumph of love. It transitions beautifully across 3 distinct stages: frustrated and persistent. In line 1 to 4, the speaker attempts twice to write his lover's name in the sand, only for the waves to wash it away. The tone here is a mix of stubborn effort and the minor frustration against nature. And then in lines 5 to 8, there is a realistic and melancholic, where when the lady speaks, the tone shifts to a grounded and sobering reality. She gently mocks his vanity, reminding him that she is mortal and will eventually decay just like her name in the sand. And then from line 9 to 14, the poet is confident and idealistic. The final tone turns highly optimistic and defiant. The poet confidently claims that while baser things die in the dust, his poetry will be eternal. Her virtues and immortalize their love forever. So, what we learn, what we go through the sonnet, that all the efforts of the tide or the time, of the cruelty of time, of the cruelness of the time, cannot, will not, and should not be able to destroy their love in any form, because his lines, the lines of Spenser, the alliterations of Spenser, the personifications of Spenser, the description of Spenser will immortalize his love for his lady love, his love for his beautiful wife. And this is a challenge to the cruelty of time, and he declares his victory and triumph against the cruelty of time which destroys everything, but this sonnet will keep alive his love for his lady love. In conclusion, we can say Spenser reminds us that while the tides of time wash away our footsteps, art holds the power to make the fleeting moments of human love truly immortal. In a world where everything is eventually turns to dust, Sonnet 75 stands as a timeless proof that words can outlive the ocean. This is really exaggeration, but the poet is very confident. The sands may wash away, but through the magic of the poetry, Spenser turned a simple love story into an eternal masterpiece. For centuries later, the waves are still crushing, but the name Spenser wrote in the sand lives on the every heart that reads it. The person, the reader, the heart that reads the line will find the love of Spenser. He did not just write her name on the beach, on the sand. He carved her love story into the eternity, proving that true love never dies. It becomes a poetry. True love becomes a poetry. Sonnet 75 is ultimate reminder that while we cannot stop time, while we can fight time, we can choose to love fiercely enough to outlast it, to outdid it. Spenser defeated time. Spenser really defeated time with 14 lines. By writing these 14 lines,